Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Hey, you might recognize me as that guy from the Raid Community Award shows. Well, what I'm going to be doing in this video, let's talk about it. Let's break down some behind the scenes stories about what it was actually like to, put this together, what was going on. And yeah, it should be kind of fun. I did a whole other video and article on hellhades.com as well. I'll link all this in the description where I talked about actually getting to meet the developers. This is going to be more about just filming the community award show and what that was like. So let's do it. Let's dive in. It was basically, by the way, this is like a 4-day process, right? So day one was fly over. I live in Ireland, so I had to fly over to Poland. It's in Warsaw. That their office is based, that I was going to, and where this film studio was. Like, this was recorded in like a proper studio with lots of different rooms and lots of different setup. So day one was flying over, and we had layovers in Germany somewhere. I think Frankfurt maybe. So going over there, that was day one. Day two was supposed to be just sort of meeting the developers and more chill. That was actually, though, a rehearsal day. So we had a few hours rehearsal. It wasn't too long, really. Just going through stuff, actually getting to see the studio, practicing some lines like in situ and all of that, going through the scenes. That was a few hours. And then I got to hang out with the developers after that as well. So I got to see the actual offices, and that's what we talked about in the previous video and article. Then the main day was like 12 hours. This was like 12 hours straight of filming from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. basically, right? So we had to get up at like 6 in the morning or something, and then, basically travel from the hotel to this film studio, and yeah, then record the stuff there. Let's actually go from the start here. So the start of this, actually, we'll break this down scene by scene. I think it's the best way to do it and the most logical way. And by the way, actually, before we go, I should say I will be doing an article for this video, a companion piece to this as well, over on hellhades.com. I've been struggling actually to figure out what to do with that, because I've been trying to write it. I'm like, nah, it's too wordy. How do I make this interesting? So what I'll actually do for that one is share a bunch of other behind the scenes stories with behind the scenes photos. So you'll get to see like cool photos of stuff that was going on, and like some stories about, hey, this is thus where it was, what was happening. So that would be like interesting as well, rather than trying to get the photos into this video and do all that sort of stuff. I said, you know what, let's just make the article more of a visual one, so you can just flick through and see some cool photos and be like, oh wow, that's what Nub was talking about. And in this, I'll talk more about the stuff that's in the actual show. So I think I shared a picture in the first article, which was me with the Arbiter statue. And as you can see, there's a few fun things here. This was actually the Plarium office. Now, these were people that are part of the film crew. I actually don't know what their names were, I'm afraid to say. But these are not the actual receptionists. So I think I recorded my stuff on Friday, and then they were recording. So a lot of people involved in this, like obviously the full film crew, and then a bunch of people from Plarium were still recording for this day. So this was the day that I was going home. They were actually going into the Plarium office. So at the weekend, when people weren't in the office, so yeah, basically these are all actors, right? This is not the actual stuff, but it is the actual Plarium office. And yeah, I think the coolest thing in the office, which is not raid related at all, is probably these are like little magnetic hovering things. Like, these are freaking cool. Like, you see these things? They're so sick. I was like, imagine, because they're quite angular. They could be like shards, which would be pretty cool. This is one of the shard-themed meeting rooms. They're actually pretty much all in use when I was in the office, because I visited the office like during a weekday. But this is set in there, which is cool. And again, you've got obviously some of the raid community team. Samu comes back into it later as well. He's actually posing as one of the developers, like kind of game devs here. He's actually one of the main writers for the game, which is really cool. And he actually helped to write a bunch of the scripts. He was sort of like the script overseer that was here for the filming of this. I think there were 3 different people that did the bulk of the work, writing the different scripts and yeah, basically designing the award show and what we were gonna say on camera. I really enjoyed these. These were, just genuinely well written, and I hadn't got to see these before, the show actually went live, because I wasn't there. So this was all new to me when I got to watch it, which was really fun. Oh, this is a funny one. So actually, this is probably the last thing that in fact, this is the last thing I recorded. So this was not recorded before I went over. This is like me saying like, oh, I'm on the phone and yeah, I'll come over, I'll do the show. This was actually the last thing recorded, believe it or not. Funny enough, they actually had a room set up, which is like an office room, like a stream room, like with a desk and all the lights and green screen and all of that. Like they had that actually set up in the studio. There was a dedicated room for that. And I actually did do rehearsals in there, which is like basically doing this scene that they wanted to use because it's, they would have their proper quality cameras, not my shitty little webcam. They actually rehearsed it on the rehearsal day. Now, when it came to the actual day, it was going to be the last thing that they recorded. And we actually had a big problem because it was the last thing recorded, well, guess what? My hair, like you guys would not believe the amount of like glue that's in my hair in these scenes. Like seriously, you would not like it was like pull back right into like the bun, but then like like the stylist, it was like like a deodorant stick, but for your hair. It's just like pumping the glue in and hairspray and glue, trying to glue everything down. Like the amount of product that was in my hair was crazy. And like we were kind of panicking because it was like, well, we're due to wrap up filming, in the next little while. This is the last thing on the docket. So we were kind of like, this was actually the room. This dressing room was where they were doing like the hairstyling. And there's actually a costume section actually that you don't see on camera, but was just beside it. But we're kind of like, what do we do? So the hairstylist had to bring me, the stylist had to bring me to the bathroom where they had a shower. And it was like on a night out, right? A messy night out with your friend who's throwing up into the shower and they're just bent over and you're just sort of patting their back. So I had to be like bent over and she was like just going at me with all this shampoo through my hair and just trying to get all this gunk out so that I'd look somewhat normal for the final scene. And we're like trying to get this stuff out and then like blow drying like crazy. And I was like, okay, this looks mostly normal. She had to put more stuff in the hair then to make it look more normal. And all of that happened. We're like, okay, right, great. I'm back in my normal clothes, right? My hair is now free. I look more like myself again. Let's go. And then they were like, oh yeah, actually, we're not gonna do that bit. Actually, yeah, you're just gonna record this bit at home. So this bit here, it didn't actually happen on the day. And we're like, oh, we had this big panic to try to get my hair fixed and everything for recording this there. And then it didn't happen in the end. It was like we'd run over time and it was like, okay, we'll just call it. It's fine. You can record this bit at home. It's all good. So that's what we did. So this is actually the last thing I recorded. And even funny enough, on that on that day, after she did all that stuff to my hair to make it look normal, the stylist was like, yeah, when you get back to your hotel, you might want to just like wash your hair another time or maybe twice, like today and tomorrow. Just really give it a proper wash because there's so much shit in your hair right now. It's just for the health of your hair and your head. You should probably do that. So that was fun. Another fun little tip or fun little insight. I actually recorded footage of this. So I don't know if I was improvising the scripts a little bit. I was improvising the scripts a little bit, which was fun. We'll talk some more about some of that improv as we go. But for this one, it was like, oh no, the script is like, you're playing the game and then you get a call from Cirilla and you interrupt. So I think in the thing I say like, oh, that Merciless set worked really well. And they wanted me then to record footage. So I actually did record footage. I went and I did like 5 live arena fights. I think this is all a ploy to get me to actually do live arena because you guys know I'm really negligent at actually doing that. I do it in tiny spurts every now and then. But I actually did a bunch of live arena. And I was like, shit, I just mentioned the Merciless set in this audio clip. This footage I recorded. So I said, Sun Wukong, he's in Merciless. So I tried to pick Sun Wukong in every fight and recorded the 5 fights. And I was like, oh, there's a nice selection of interesting stuff happening in these fights. And I sent over the footage and they didn't use it. They never used it. So it's this footage. I don't even have a Mashals. This is not my account. I don't even have a Tunisia either. I don't have these 2 champions. What is this? And I mean, to be fair, maybe Mashals and Merciless, maybe not. I don't even remember if they left the Merciless bit in. But yeah, you can see, like, I mean, that's my microphone. This was, like I said, I actually recorded this bit at home with my usual setup. And yeah, they fixed it up. over to Warsaw again. Like I said, there was a layover. The flight was actually go to Frankfurt in Germany, couple of hour layover, then go over to Warsaw, and there was actually strikes on, I think, with German airlines at the time. So like one of my flights back home got really complicated because it was booked by the raid community team. So when I was trying to fly back home, I couldn't check into my flight because it wasn't on the flight it was supposed to be. So I'm here the morning trying to go home, or maybe it was the night before, and I'm messaging the community reps at Plarium, being like, "So I can't check into my flight because apparently I'm now with Polish Airlines instead, and when I'm trying to go into my flight, I can't change it in English because it's all in Ukrainian. It was booked in like Ukrainian, and obviously I don't speak any Ukrainian." So I've got no heckin' clue what's going on. So they had to sort it out, and they sorted it out, and everything was fine. We got checked in. It was all good. But yeah, there was a bit of chaos with the flights. This is, by the way, stock footage. You'll be shocked to know they weren't waiting for my plane to arrive and filming that specific one. But there we go. And this was the first. This was actually the first thing that we did record that made it in then. So this was my first scene I recorded on the day. They were actually recording a bunch of stuff even before that, which I think actually made it into the trailer. So if you saw the trailers where it was like, you know, the chairs with Cyrilla and Nub on it, I think the chair actually with Nub, but my name, they spelt it wrong and they had to like cut it off. They had to do some weird stuff. And they're like, shit, we'll just have someone's elbow blocking his name on the chair because he spelled it wrong. Oh, it's very upsetting. I never sat in that chair with my name on it either. I probably should have. I never got to. But yeah, because like that was on set. But like you'll see if you watch the trailers. Let me try to get a trailer. All right, yeah. So here we got one of the trailers they shared on Twitter. But I remember when I came in. So I came in the day of the actual filming, right? And the rehearsal wasn't so bad. So we had these are the actual, by the way, the actual like director and the assistant director. They were like probably the two sort of main people that were sort of guiding me through this whole process, like on these actual days, rehearsal and whatnot. But coming in, like on the first day, like we were just, I think the green screen was here, but like this stuff was mostly empty, right? It wasn't set up. And it was just, you know, a few of the people from Plarium and like the director, assistant director. And that was just about it. And there's no costumes or anything. I come in on the actual day of filming, right? And you've got all this setup. Like there's equipment everywhere. There's like the giant like light boxes and all this stuff. And there are, I counted it actually from the credits at the end of the award show. There were 23 members of the film crew. And then there was also like a bunch of people from Plarium staff, like the community people and like the production crew from Plarium and all of that. Plus, you know, me as well. Like, so there was probably 30, maybe even 40 people, 30 something people, I'd say, actually there on the day. And it's actually quite scary. And what they had that's quite cool is they actually had all the footage that they were actually filming was actually broadcast to TVs around the building. So you could actually tune in. So like there was a lounge area sort of upstairs, which is just outside. It actually features a bit later. It's just outside the like the AV room, right? That shot, which is later in the show. In fact, let me jump to that. We can jump to it. We've got the power. Let me see. So it was whatever bit when I was in the AV. Yeah, this bit here. When I was in this AV room. So this was shot upstairs. When I'm kicked out, like this part here where I'm kicked out, there's like a lounge in here. And this door led into this AV room. There was a door in, like I said, to the office area. This is all upstairs. And that's actually where I end up going. It's like down the stairs in the reflection. But yeah, up there's a big TV. And I just pumped all the raw footage that they were recording. And you could actually see it, which was kind of awesome. But needless to say, you know, I come in the first, like on the actual day of filming, and it's actually pretty terrifying. You get that imposter syndrome of like, oh my god, like this is like a proper deal. Like this is a proper film crew, you know. It's not the same as me sitting at my PC. Like I actually have to do a good job here because people are relying on that. But yeah, again, all this stuff. This was from some of the teasers that they recorded, and the funny thing about this, so here we go. Actually, we get to see it. Awesome. It had the question marks. Yeah. But they had lots of different shots. All this stuff had lots of different shots. But like all this stuff where they're trying to look like, oh, we're busy and stuff, like that's all scripted as well, which is fun. So they had a bunch of scripted shots of like people looking busy for this stuff. There was actually a bunch of shots as well I saw on their Twitter. Let me get that as well. So this video on their Twitter, it's this one here from the 29th of April. This one is really cool because while some of them are like actually, it's cool. Some of them are actually scripted and it's acting and all that sort of stuff. This one is actual behind the scenes stuff, which I think is really interesting. So they're all like discussing. This gives you a sense for the state. This is basically the stage where all of the main stuff was shot. So with me and Cirilla and then Sam as well. But they're talking about stuff. There was me actually getting makeup touched up, which is good fun. And I think they were fixing my my mics and stuff at that point as well. Um, you can see like all the equipment. Like there's so much equipment and stuff going on. This is like this guy. He's the cool guy. I'm not sure what his name was, but he has this big rig, right? And he's like moving around with a camera. So that was actually cool. We were jumping all over the place, but that's half the fun of this. For example, like in this Death Night thing, what am I being filmed by? Like I'm in this dressing room and like I don't know, 3 foot away from me is this dude with like this big camera, like filming me, you know? So that's what's going on there, which is really fun. Yeah, like see, this is nice. It gives you a sense. These are the sort of screens, like I said, that would be then broadcast. This was like small screen for viewing. And that's like typically what they do. They had multiple different screens where they could like look at different shots and compare and all that sort of stuff. And I think there was probably someone actually dedicated to working on that and setting it up and all that. But like they would go over and check these screens after a take and be like, okay, that looked okay on the like the bigger screen. We'll do it again. And these bigger screens would be, as they were recording live, then broadcast to anyone who wanted to tune in on the TVs throughout the place. So there you go. Here, this is where they're overlooking it. So yeah, we've got like the stylist, we've got the director, we've got some of the film crew all here. They're all checking, be like, okay, how does this actually look? They're reviewing the screen footage to be like, do we do another take or is that okay? So that's fun. This is a nifty little device as well, which is like a little handheld one, which again is just getting the footage from all the cameras and whatnot. So the director had that, so she can just be looking at it and seeing, okay, this is how the actual shot looks and updating it as she goes. Like all the freaking antennae on this thing, it's insane. That one is pretty cool as well. For explaining it. This is yeah. So this is her talking to me about it, about throwing the cup. We'll get to throwing the cup, but that was a fun little thing that we improv. Where were we? We've not got through any of this. Oh my lord. Well, we've got through a lot of it, but in a weird sort of order. So like I said, this was sort of the first thing that we filmed. I'm just in my normal clothes, obviously. These are not my actual suitcases. These are props. I thought one fun thing about this as well is we had to do several takes of this scene. So you've got, you know, all the sort of extras, I suppose, in the background, looking busy, looking like we're arranging the film set. You know, after every shot, it's like, oh, rearrange that. We go again, make it look busy, which is fun. But yeah, this was good. So what was actually really nice about recording this scene as the first scene is like the whole theme of this is like, oh, I'm arriving and I'm really overwhelmed. I'm like, that's actually a really good scene for me to film first because I am feeling like I've just arrived and I am overwhelmed. So I don't even really need to act. I could just sort of act like myself, which is cool. Again, on the different takes, this could be quite fun. You know, sometimes you might get poked in the eye by the actual brush and whatnot. Those sorts of things could happen. So yeah, just acting, which is good fun. I love it. I love it. It's great. But like one thing for this that we had to do a few takes of was like, what do we do with this cup? Because, you know, what actually happened, so we were doing the rehearsal or when we were actually filming it or whatever, right? I've handed this cup. The cup, by the way, is empty. There's nothing in it. It's not actually a latte or something. You can see like, yeah, the camera rig, by the way, how cool is that? So, you know, the cup is actually empty. But in the initial script, there's actually supposed to be, I think someone is supposed to come and grab it off me and take it away. And it's like, I'm given a cup, right? And then it's like, do this, do this, do this. And then someone comes and takes my cup away. I haven't even got a chance to drink. But we forgot a couple of times, you know, to actually do that during rehearsal. And we're doing the countdown and I still had the cup. So then I was like, what if I just throw the cup away? And we're like, oh, you know what? Actually, that's kind of cool. Let's do that. So that's where you had, you know, the director talking me through and be like, you know, countdown at this point in the countdown, then you throw the cup away. And these are the expressions you make and whatnot. So that was quite fun. Yeah, which was cool. And we did have a prompter as well, but not for this scene, but the prompter is there with stuff on it. So this is what you would actually see. So this was cool. There's the sound guys over there as well. But like over here, he's like the prompter guy. So he's just basically typing up the scripts for us to do on the prompter, and they actually had to change some of them and whatnot as we were going. And the funny thing is, when we came to the scenes, like we were sort of told, me and Cirilla, it's like, oh well, you guys can just, in rehearsal, you can read the prompter, act like genuinely for this stuff. You don't have to learn off all of your lines. There'll be a prompter there. It'll be okay. We did the first take with me and Cirilla, like actually reading out the winners and stuff. And after the first take, they're like, okay, no, it's actually really obvious that you're reading from the prompter. Like, you guys happen to know those lines off? And we're both like, no, there's like, I know it's a short show, but there's a lot of lines. There's no way we actually know all of them. So kind of, okay. They had to move the prompter and try to like wedge it in under the camera so that we could read the prompter and it still looks like we're looking at the camera. So that was a fun little thing for this bit. This guy's got cool pants, by the way. I dig it. But yeah, throw it away. And one of the funny things about this is actually tough as well. So we've got like this first part, which is the whole like, oh, I need to turn the sound back on. This whole like, welcome to the show, all of that. But what they wanted to do, I don't think it even made it into the final cut. I guess not. Was like they do the countdown. I'm like closing my eyes, and then it cuts to the other shot, and I open my eyes. That was actually genuinely really tough. So let's see. They do the countdown, throw it away, close my eyes. But yeah, because like when they're actually setting you up to do the shot, and you're doing the shot a bunch of times, because it was supposed to be like wake up and then go and be really animated. I'm actually quite quiet. I'm quite shy. Like this is as animated as I get. This is me like turned up to 11, right, for doing videos. I'm normally quite a quiet person. So coming into this, it was like, okay, go. And this was sort of the thing they wanted to do was for Cirilla. They're like, okay, Cirilla, we want you to be like just as sort of like cold and calm as possible. And Nub, you're like super excited. And it's like, the two sides of the thing. And we want to really play that up and go crazy. And I remember doing it, and I was like, man, I wish I was like trying to channel my inner Ash, right? Or my inner Big Papa Drock, like just go full energy. But it was tough. But it's really tough for whatever reason. When you go in with your eyes closed and you open up, it's just a little bit disorienting. And actually like going from almost a full stop into like, and then into my stuff while you're also trying to remember the lines as well. I actually found that to be quite tough. So that would be something like if I was going to be a professional actor or something, that would be something I'd want to practice and improve on. Because I actually found that to be quite a challenge, really. Yeah, that was definitely, it's not so bad if you're just like standing and then it's like, okay, action. And then you can just go into it. Like you can just launch into it. It's not so bad. But I really struggle with that. When my eyes were, and you even trying to like scrunch your eyes shut to be like, yeah, I was really concentrating and really building up to it. And like when you're doing multiple takes of that, I was like, my face started twitching and stuff. I was, all that sort of stuff. It was a little panic, but it's okay. But it worked out okay. So yeah, it was like going into this and trying to be like, trying to be as sort of energetic and whatnot as I could. One of the funniest things that when you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. But in terms of like the getup and stuff like this, I actually had no idea going into it. So one of the things I had to do, like I didn't even have, there wasn't really much time. Like they asked me if I'd be willing to take part in this. I think maybe 2 weeks before we filmed, right? So there was not much time between me agreeing and flying over, and it was like getting the flight sorted and whatnot. But they wanted to get my measurements for something, but they wouldn't tell me what the measurements were for, and I had no idea what it was going to be. But it was actually that my girlfriend who did the measurements, and honestly, everything fit perfectly, except we measured the sleeves wrong. So you will see that when you watch this back, that my sleeves are like halfway down my hand. But I remember I was doing it, and I was kind of like, man, I think we might have measured the sleeves from like the wrong place. Like we weren't sure exactly what it was, because like they sent us a diagram for how to measure the different body parts, and the sleeve one was really unclear. It was like down to the bottom of your fingertips. I was like, that's kind of weird. I don't know about that, but that's what it says in the diagram. So like I guess we'll do it. So we did it, and I was like, if it's too long, I mean, better the sleeves are too long than too short, I suppose. And I also sort of thought, well, I mean, if these sleeves are abnormally long, surely the tailor would notice. Like whoever is making whatever outfit would be like, wow, these sleeves seem too long. Maybe we'll double check with them or whatnot, or but we'll do something. But no, no. So we got in, and I tried on the thing, and I was like, shit, these sleeves are too long. But there wasn't really anything that we could do, which was a little bit sad. But there was actually two different outfits. I don't actually have photos of those, I'm afraid. But they had like a normal. So I was again going into it. I was kind of wondering, like, are they going to dress me up as like Phoenix or something? Like, legit, am I going to be dressed up as a character in this show? Uh, so it was kind of a relief that it was like a fairly straightforward. Just it was either a black suit or a black tux like this, and they had ties or bow ties. And as you can see, we ultimately settled on the tuxedo. Well, I didn't have a say in it, but ultimately settled on the tuxedo instead of the suit. Interesting thing about it was the stylist was like, the suit looks better on you, the clothing stylist, the costume specialist. He was doing it, and he was like, I think you look better in the suit, but the tuxedo, we'll see what the director thinks. So like the director and the assistant director, they had a good look at it. We're rethinking, and some of the people from Plarium had input as well, and they ultimately decided that actually the tuxedo fits the look that they were going for. So we went with the tuxedo. Apparently, this tuxedo was like about €1,000 or something. It's like really expensive. So I was feeling like a right twat, being like, shit, this is a super expensive tuxedo, and the sleeves don't even fit. And they had to bring it back then after, right? So I presume that the shop will, unless maybe they find someone with really long arms that wants to wear this jacket, or I don't know, they'll just like sort of resize the suit for somebody else and so on. So who knows? If you're buying a tuxedo in Warsaw, you might get the one that I was wearing. Who knows? I think that's what happened, but yes, that was kind of fun. Another fun thing, we had a full body shot at some point over here. So something else that's fun, it doesn't come through. The shoes are real shit. Like the shoes are really shitty. They were just like cheap black H&M shoes. I was like, oh wow, they're not fancy shoes at all, but you don't really see it. And the trousers as well. I've got pretty short legs. I'm a short guy. I've got little mini legs, but the legs were like, they never got me to measure my legs. It was like all the like shoulders, hips, waist, chest, arm, all that sort of stuff. You can see there that like the sleeves are too long, right? But the trousers are just crazy long, and they just sort of like roll them up basically, and the clothing stylist would just have to come around like between almost every few takes and would have to readjust, like they'd be readjusting like the jacket, readjusting the legs. For poor Cirilla, she had like a bunch of like pins and stuff holding her dress just right, so she's really strapped in. But yeah, it was it was quite something. We had to stand again, you saw we're filming on a green screen, and then this whole stage, which looks super cool, was all CGI, right? So we were just on a green screen for this. We couldn't move from our spots were very specific, and they'd have like little tape markers that they would put down for the different things. We different markers for when Sam comes in later, we have to move around. So it, again, that was also tricky to be like, I'm super energetic and welcome to the thing, because it was also being a noob actor. You're like, oh shit, if I actually move my feet, or if I move, I'm gonna ruin the shot and stuff. So it's actually tricky to be like super energetic while your feet are planted to the spot. So there's a couple of little things that were a little bit of a struggle for me. But yeah, there you go. We already mentioned we had absolutely tons of hair product in my hair. I think for Cirilla, by the way, I think that they had like 3 different dresses for her. And like they were all amazing. And this is the one that they went with. So sort of the dark theme and all of that. Yeah, like when everyone else went to lunch as well. Remember, this is like 12 hours straight of filming and recording stuff, just 7 a.m., 7 p.m. But whenever everyone else got to go to lunch, obviously we didn't know who most of the winners were at that point. Some of the winners were decided already, but for a lot of them, we just had to record every possible winner, right? So everyone else is at lunch. We were sat in with like microphones, just sat in actually on the little boxes we saw in the background earlier on. Just be like, and the winner is X, and the winner is Y, and the winner is Z. And we had to do like, everyone is the winner for everything. That they had the right soundbite, so that when the people actually voted on it, that they could assign the correct winner, which was fun. Frequently asked question. Then we've got, this was my solo scene, the Death Knight scene coming up, which is a whole lot of fun. Yep, I like it. I like this one. It's best of luck. Galek, and then I scribbled out and with nub in instead, which was fun. And it's like this really girly bouquet of flowers or basket of flowers or whatever. So that was like a little bit of a joke. There were a lot of takes of this scene. Like this one was tough. This is one I was most worried about because this was me all on my own. But like again, this is just off the main area really, and they had to put up like a big white light, like a big white light box, basically behind this wall because these were just normal windows out into the main area. They had to put that up to like block this out. And they had to obviously be positioning the cameras really carefully and do all of that because like literally, you know, like I said, 3 foot to the side of me, you got the guy with the big camera filming it. You've got the director, you've got the assistant director, and obviously for Death Knight, who comes into this in a second. Actually, one thing I want to see. So we had to do a few multiple takes of this. So number one, I had to do literally about 10 different takes of me picking up this card and turning it. And the idea was, I guess they used one where it wasn't super, there, you get a good clear shot of it there, but it was like, turn the card this way. Okay, no, you didn't do it quite right. Let's do it again. Back from the top, turn the card this way, put it down. And it was like, actually, you know, really awkward, like basically picking up this card to look at it really awkwardly so that it gets a good shot for the camera that makes sense. So that was definitely one part. There was a lot of takes for that. We had a lot of takes as well for trying to sort out the phone, right? So we're going, okay, well, we don't want it to be just a black phone, and we don't want to have to do it in post-production to add stuff in. So what can we do? So for instance, it was actually the assistant director's phone, and they set that up so someone would ring her, and they had it set up so that they had a picture of Death Knight would pop up. So they would actually ring the phone. It would actually pop up with Death Knight, and then I'd actually answer, and we'd go. So we did a take of that, and then the sound guy came in, and he was like, "You're messing up all the microphones. Not gonna work." So we had to scrap that. Then we had just a picture of the call, so it would light up with a picture of the call, and we did that. And then we're like, yeah, no, the phone's lit up with the picture. When you put your phone to your ear, the phone goes black. So then I was like, okay, well, do I show the phone? Like when I'm picking it up, try to subtly give a look of, oh, it's Death Knight calling, and then I black this, you know, it comes up like this, and then I press the button and black it out when I put it to my ear. Now that doesn't look quite right. Oh my God, there were so many takes. And you do the full scene as well. So it takes to like do the full scene and then be like, yeah, no, I don't think the phone looks quite right. Let's do it all again. Do it all again. Which was quite something. But yeah, then obviously Death Knight comes in as well. With this one, Death Knight was obviously not there, right? But so he did his stuff after. He got like the footage of me, and then he did his stuff reacting to that. But it was actually the assistant director. So she's sitting about 3 foot away with the script, reading Death Knight's lines in like a really silly voice, like, "Oh no, I can't believe you would do this to me," at the side. So that was the Death Knight, which was funny. Yeah, we had like this scene, all the acting. This was fun actually, because obviously I didn't see this bit. So like obviously that's something that's edited in after, which is hilarious. I did actually see them filming that part. I was having a break at that point when they were filming that part, which was fun. Making all the faces is cool. We're just skipping on so I can talk about. There were lots of different takes of this as well, and who I'm looking at, and all that sort of stuff. Throw it on the ground. But it's funny, like, I think that's one of the big things about this. Like, when you think about it, like, this was like a 4-day recording thing. And like, I had to come over. The director, she's actually Irish as well, which is really fun and crazy. I was like, oh shit, whoa. Is it another Irish person here? It's the actual director. That's insane. You had like the film crew, like I said, a bunch of the Plarium community team and like production team and all that came over from Ukraine to Warsaw for this. Like, it's this huge thing, right? With all these people involved, like a 15-minute thing, or like that 1-minute Death Knight scene. Like, I mean, that was probably like an hour or two of filming, you know? Like, there was a lot that went into that little bit. It's just, you know, it's the same with movies. It gives you that was one thing that was really fun for me. It's getting a real insight into like how commercials are filmed, because I think the film crew, they were saying like a lot of experience filming commercials, which was cool. They do a lot of commercial work, or had done in the past. I don't know what they're doing right now, but all that sort of stuff. Really interesting. Like, this is like an actual film set is like, basically. So it was really interesting getting an insight into that. I have to say, I felt very silly, by the way, in the tux. Honestly, it looks really good, I think. It actually looked great, but I felt bizarre. Like, my head's getting stretched back with all this glue in my hair. I'm like, I bet I look like a real twat, but it actually looks great in the end. It turned out it looked really good, apart from my sleeves being too long, which is all my girlfriend's fault, which is cool. We had this scene then in here. This was good fun to film as well. Again, there were lots of takes with this scene. So one problem we ran into in this scene is, I think, just up here, out of shot, there is a clock. And we were filming like multiple takes, multiple angles. So like when it switches angle, like some of the scene was filmed with like a cameraman here behind me. And then they had to film it again with the cameraman on the other side. So that's what they do. They film multiple angles because it's such a small enclosed area. You can't actually hide the cameras. So they just film the same scene multiple times from different angles. They filmed that. And then they were like, oh, shit, continuity problem, right? You can see the clock. And when we switch angles, the clock has changed. So then we had to film everything again, right? With not getting the clock in shot. So we had to reshoot the whole thing so that there wouldn't be any of the continuity problems and all of that. I guess if you really paid attention, you might notice that some of the stuff on the screens is slightly different when they switch angles. I don't know if that's actually true. Or actually right there, if you're really diligent there, you can actually see the clock in the reflection. You might be able to find that it doesn't quite look right or something. Sometimes like it's going to jump around a bit. I don't know. Because I don't know which shots that they actually used for this. But one thing going into this, I don't know. I actually don't even know how you say it properly. Is it Galek or Gaelic or Gallic? I actually don't know how to say the champion's name. I always forget. I just know that I got it wrong before, and I learned the right way from Call of the Arbiter. But now I'm always doubting myself, and I don't remember which one is the right way. But I remember Sam, like the writer guy, came over to me, and he was like, "Oh, in the rehearsal, like you said the name wrong. It's Galek, or it's not Gaelic, it's Galek, or it's I don't know. I don't know. He told me the right way, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'll get it right. And then I got it right for a couple of takes, and then I think in the final take, which is like the last one, he was like, yeah, said the name. You said the champion name wrong again. I was like, oh shit, oh no, it's a disaster. I don't know if that's what actually made it in. I still to this day don't know how you say that champion's name right. He didn't really mind either. He was just like, it's kind of funny. So if you get it wrong, it's just kind of funny. So whatever. But I did think that was funny.
Yeah,
I think that was funny for sure. Yeah, we had this one going through, which was neat. Again, there was like a whole bunch of technical stuff where they had stuff on these screens as well. So a lot of the different footage, they had to remove some of that as well and tweak the screens a bit. Because like they were going to show some like content creator stuff on there, and then they're like, oh shit, we don't have like explicit permission from content creators to show anything, so we can't put up any content creator stuff up there. It has to be like all above board. It has to be, all vetted and all of that. So that was like a whole thing. One fun thing in this as well is that I got to improv a little bit too. Where can you CGI me as Phoenix, or then can you CGI me as Armans as I'm being thrown out of the room? Like that was something I actually put in, like again, just improv the script a little bit, and I had some fun with that, and that was actually great because I know some people were saying to me like they were like cracking up laughing at like, oh, can you CGI me to look like Phoenix? People like that. So I was like, oh yes, that was me. I made that little, I threw that in as a little Easter egg. I thought it would be appropriate. Or like I'm invisible, I'm under perfect veil. I put that in as well, and they were like really sound about it. Because yeah, that was what, and it was something I was a little bit worried about as well. Is that again, not a professional actor, didn't have my lines learned off perfectly. Like it's just that's kind of tough. But when I realized afterwards, obviously, that they are doing multiple takes of the same shot and splicing them all together, I was like, oh my God, I've probably made the editor's life a nightmare because I'm not saying the exact same thing every time. I've got to put this together. So yeah, like I think again, like chatting to the writer, and he's like, you know what? Yeah, like you're doing a great job of like adding these little bits in, and it sounds natural, and like that's the goal. So like go for it. I actually I totally support it. I'm cool. I do feel bad for the editors that had to edit this stuff in. I'm like, oh, but he said the scene wrong. We wanted to use this footage, but he said the wrong thing in it, and it doesn't sync up now, and we've got to switch and all that.
Oh yes, I'm ready to go. Yeah.
All that sort of funny stuff. But yeah, we came in here.
You could maybe CGI me as Armand, maybe.
Get thrown out. There were lots of, again, different takes of like how violently does Nub get thrown out of the room and all that. and then waiting outside as well. No entry for nub. I like that. We only did one take of this bit, actually. Like, we were being thrown out of the room, and then they're like, oh, we can see you just sort of standing there in the reflect. Like, what can we do? And they're like, okay, well, we'll just film you, like, walking down the stairs, because the stairs is right opposite, as you can see here in the reflection. So I'm, like, walking down the stairs and, like, really plodding down the steps, like, dunk, 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 down the steps. And I'm just going and going. Like, nobody says cut or anything. I'm just like, shit, I'm going to walk down all these stairs, and I'm going to have to walk all the way back up for the next take. At this point in the day, this is like near the end of the day. Pretty exhausted at this point. So I'm like, oh my God, I've walked down all these stairs, walk all the way back up. I walked all the way down the stairs. And then at the end, they're like, okay, that's actually really funny. And we'll get that into the actual final product. That wasn't part of the plan. But they're like, oh yeah, that actually works really well. Just like, this dejected, just trodden down the stairs, really sad. So I'm glad that made it in. Cause again, we did that the one time, and they're like, yeah, actually, you know what? That's perfect. That's great. Just going down the stairs, and they caught it in the reflection, which is awesome. Again, they cut it off early. Like, that's only about 1/3 of the way down those stairs. Like, it was a big old set of stairs all the way down to the bottom. And we've got all these bits. And this was fun. This was stuff I hadn't seen before. There's lots of little Easter eggs here. Polymorph, discuss, 16th faction. So people had a lot of fun with this one. I really enjoyed this shot. And again, I was not involved with this stuff at all. This was a whole extra day of filming that I was not there for. So for me as a viewer, I really enjoyed watching this. I have to say, like, there's something that impressed me very much so, like, with this whole thing. Like, my parents watched this, for instance, and they were like, oh, we really liked the Black Knight at the end, like, talking to you, the bit with the Black Knight. That was funny. We don't understand what's going on, but it was very funny. So I thought that was good. Like, the writing, it's hard, I think, to actually write stuff that's, genuinely entertaining and funny without being just, like, dumb or not funny, or too try hard. Like, they actually did a really good job of getting, like, just a... Yeah. Oh, so over here, this actually, so that's funny in terms of the editing, very clever. So it looks like, so this is actually in the Plarium office, this bit. Then we cut over here. This is actually in the lounge area that I was mentioning upstairs, right? Which is just outside of the AV room and just outside of the office. They're literally just off camera, just off shot here. And this is the big screen where you could watch. There's like big couches around just out of sight as well, where you could watch the stuff being filmed. Yeah, like over here. And there you go. So he's like grabbing stuff from... This is actually in the film studio. So they spliced those bits in. That's really good. I hadn't actually noticed that until then. Again, there was lots of different takes for this as well. To, like, I mean, get us to stand in shot and like, oh, you got to move out of the way. And then when Sam leaves and we have to move back in together, we have to do so many takes of that as well. It's like, actually move back in together the right way. And they'd be like, no, you're standing too far away. And like, oh, look at the mark on the floor. Oh yeah, I totally missed it and all that sort of stuff. That was fun. But I thought this stuff was like genuinely funny as well. And obviously we had to, another thing, small thing, but because, we're recording this on a green screen. It's just flat green. Yeah. But they're like, oh, when we actually CGI the stage in, like there's a lip in the stage. So Sam had to do a few takes of this running in. He had to add that jump in to be like, so you're actually jumping up on the stage. So it actually makes sense. So then you can't even see it right in the final product. So I think that's funny. It's that you don't even see he's jumping up onto it. Like you only see us standing on the stage when you're actually there. But that was, he had to do a few takes, like running in, and he's out of breath and exhausted. Like, yeah, you see he's jumping up on this lip. You don't even see it. But again, I thought a really fun little touch that I was cracking up about is obviously he's got the proper length sleeves. That's nice. You can see his shirt. That's very good. But he's got just the white trainers on. I thought that's just such a small little touch that's really clever, just to make it look like he's rushed in and not even notice that he doesn't have the right shoes and he's just sort of going with it. But yeah, it was really good. So yeah, again, I think for some of this bit, you can see like we're looking real serious because we didn't think we're being filmed for this bit. Thought this is just voiceover, which is very funny. So like we're just looking, which is funny. It was funny, and then we're happy at the end. That was one interesting thing as well. They were like, "Oh, it's Fallkeeper Wixwell," and in the script, I'm just saying like, "Wow, you guys made really interesting choices." And of course, at the time I'm saying that, obviously none of the voting for Wixwell had happened, and I wasn't even shown the skills. I know nothing about Wixwell, right? I knew the name because I saw the script, but I knew absolutely nothing about the champion. So I have to be like, "Yeah, he seems really interesting. Great choices, everyone," which was it was quite fun as well. But there you go. And then I personally, again, I name drop my real name, unbelievable. I was being like really careful in my other videos not to name anyone by name. And then I was like, oh shit, the thing came out and it's like all the names are there, all their names. So I was like, man, why am I being so careful not to say people's names? You can just find them all there and there's the credits at the end. But I thought this bit with Death Knight at the end was really funny as well. And yeah, so there's like the cast basically. These are, we were acting the parts, and like I said, a lot of them were part of the film crew or Plarium, actually doing the acting bits. I think a lot of this is just like a lot of the actual Plarium team. Like, there's like hundreds of people here. Like, there's a lot of people here. They were not all there. Like, they didn't have all the QA engineers showing up, to do the filming. But I think we do have. Yeah, here we go. The film production crew. So, like I said, there's like 23 people in this film production crew. It was a proper production. But these are all the people, like I said, you've got the wardrobe stylist, you've got like a bunch of people doing the sounds. I don't even know what half of these things are, because I'm not a film production expert. I don't know. Yeah, we had all this stuff. Yeah, it was cool. So it was really, really good. And there, if you're curious, yeah, Arch Space Studio. You could probably look it up online. Yeah. So here we go. This is actually it. And again, I will have, like I said, a bunch of screenshots actually in the article for hellhades.com. I'm going to write that up afterwards. But yeah, this is totally the place where we were. Yeah, it's totally in where we were. Like here you can see the room. This door was closed. Actually, there were some problems with that door, letting in a breeze and stuff when we were there. Like this was like sort of the outdoor area. Those are the stairs, the famous stairs I'm walking down. And you can see these are the windows as well from the dressing room, right? The dressing room's just in there. So they had to set up, like I said, a big white box like outside of this to block out all of the light and whatnot. So yeah, there you go. It's that's pretty fun. There's some pictures of it. So yeah, if you're looking for a studio and around Warsaw, yeah, recommend it. But so yeah, look, there you go. Like I said, there's gonna be a bunch of behind the scenes. I'll probably edit some in throughout this video, actually give you a little bit of a sneak peek. But if you want to see more behind the scenes pictures and get just a few pictures to give you a sense for it, and us just having fun making dumb faces while we're filming this stuff, that will be up on an article on hellhades.com. I'll make sure to link it down below. But yeah, again, I'm just had a ton of fun doing this. I think people really enjoyed the show. That was the goal, really, as well. For me, it's just trying to do a good job and have some fun as well. It was a really cool experience. Like I've never done anything like this, which is awesome. Like it was, like I said, scary at the start when you're like, oh shit, like there's like 20 people here with all this like equipment and like this is real. It was kind of scary, but it was a really, really cool experience, really unique experience. Like how often do you get to do something like this? Almost never. So it was pretty awesome to be part of it. Like I did some, a little bit of stuff in school. Like I think I remember I did like the lighting for like one of the school plays and like, switch the things and the stage would light up. But I mean, there was someone actually there when I did that actually did it. We were just sort of there to learn. Like at some point, I don't know, when I was 14 or something. But, to actually be part of something like this for real was a really cool experience. So like big shout out to like the film production crew and to the people at Plarium that I was working at doing this. It was really fun. Yeah, like I said, I really enjoyed it. I thought it came together really well. Like the only bummer I thought was, we could have spent longer on the winners. I thought that would have been cool, like to give the winners a bigger shout out, because that's sort of the whole point of it. That was the only thing for me that was like, oh man, that would be nice. And if I'd not messed up my sleeve length, that would have been nice. That's on me. That one's on me. But yeah, no, it was a great experience. I think the show came together really well. It was just, it was just fun, right? I thought they did a great job of making it just sort of fast-paced, fun, bit of entertainment, and shouting at the community, which is exactly what it needed to be. And yeah, I thought it was cool. So there you go, guys. That was behind the scenes. Check out the article. I'll see y'all next time. Bye.